Hey, welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. I'm Graham Hughes. It is Tuesday, the 12th of August, 2025. Good to have everyone in the chat here. We've got Joanna there, we've got Diz, we've got Lost Missionary, we have Townsend and Martin Harrow, we've got Chris C, Paula Thomas, Cluster Bungle, Lee Corner's in there, Viper Scott, hey Alistair. We've also got Sarah Davis in the chat and others. If you'd like to join our friends in the friendly chat this morning where we're talking about news and politics and whatever we want to talk about, please feel free to subscribe to the channel and wait for 1 minute, and then you'll be able to add your reactions as we go. So first of all, I should just say I'm still feeling very much under the weather. And there's a chance I might have to cut the show short. I said that yesterday and I managed to get through 2 hours, so hopefully we'll do that again today. But if I do have to go at a moment's notice, please appreciate that. I'm not, if I had a normal job, I would not be coming into work today. Put it that way. I don't want to talk about Trump. I don't want to talk about Putin. But I don't want to talk about Ukraine and what they're doing to Ukraine. But I'm going to have to, because this is the big news story of today. It's there's a meeting going on that involves Europe, involves the continent of Europe, which is being invaded by barbarians from the east called Russians, and they're barbaric. They're slaughtering innocent women and children. They're using rape as a weapon of war. They're planting minefields to destroy the lives of children many generations hence. They are destroying entire cities. They ripped Mariupol apart. They are doing the most horrific things to our people. And as much as I'd like to be internationalist about everything and invite people from all over the world to our bit of the world, I think we have to start thinking about ourselves as Europeans. And I feel like if Trump can redraw the map of the Gulf of Mexico, he can rename the Gulf of Mexico, then I believe that we Europeans can redraw the boundaries of Europe. Because all the boundaries of the other continents are geographical. There is a clear boundary, whether that's the Panama Canal or the Suez Canal, or there's an absolute separation of water like you have with Australia. But in the case of Europe and Asia, it's very much a cultural boundary. It's not a geographical boundary by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, we can argue that Europe is a peninsula of Asia. But where that line is drawn between Europe and Asia has been debated and fought over for many, many centuries now. Started with Peter the Great of Russia, good 300 years ago, longer, Jesus, who wanted a window on the West. He wanted to move his country to be more European. He went on a grand embassy around Europe for 2 years, taking notes, stealing ideas, and taking them home with him to Russia, a place where he put a tax on beards because he felt they were backwards, and pushed Russia, proto-Russia as it was then, into towards this idea of a European style system. However, Peter the Great was a brute. He was a man who, after he got back off his tour of Europe, his 2-year tour of Europe, the Duma, the Russian parliament, had turned against him in his absence. And so one of the things he did was he had them all arrested. And every morning for a long time, he'd wake up, he'd go down to the cells where they were being held, and he'd kill one of them himself, because he was a psychopath. And that was Peter the Great. You can talk about Ivan the Terrible if you want. He wasn't a terrible leader. Well, arguably he was if you're on the wrong side of his sword. But, he was terrible because he was terrifying. He was a terrorist. And then we had the royal family, which were taken out in, was it 1921? Was it when they were finally dispatched? And a very, very brutal system of oppression, which was even worse than it was under the Tsar, took its place. A very Soviet style of communism, an absolutely totalitarian form of communism. And just to give the people of Russia a break here, they haven't really known democracy. They've never really known democracy. Maybe there was a chance for a few years in the 90s, but that'll turn to shit when Boris Johnson stepped down. Boris Yeltsin. Easy mistake to make. Drunken fools. When Boris Yeltsin stepped down and Vladimir Putin took his place. He was appointed as the new president of Russia on the 1st of January 2000. And this century so far has been absolutely brutal for the people of Russia and for the people who have the misfortune of living anywhere near Russia. Don't forget, it's not just Georgia that he invaded, and it's not just Ukraine. This is the guy who leveled Grozny, capital of Chechnya. He also has interfered quite violently sometimes in the politics of countries such as Central Asian countries like Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan. He's also made sure that any kind of fledgling democratic ideals that have been growing up in White Russia, in Belarus, have gone nowhere. So it doesn't just affect the people in Russia, it affects all the countries on the periphery of Russia, especially the 15 countries or the 14 countries, apart from Russia, that made up the USSR, which are now independent states. There's some places like Dagestan and Chechnya which would like to be independent states. Well, some of them would. Don't forget, he's put a monster in charge of Chechnya, a monster who puts gay people in concentration camps for being gay. So that's where we are with Russia. And can we say that Russia is culturally European? No. I'm going to say no. I'm just going to say no. Sod it. It's 2025. They've had their chance to become culturally European, and they've absolutely blown it. They've absolutely blown it. Well, Putin's government have absolutely blown it. So redraw the map. Redraw the map and say, right, this is it. That lot, they're the other. Right? Other than. They do this to us all the time. They pay lots of money, these Russian oligarchs and Putin. They pay money to people in 55 Tufton Street. They pay money to Tory politicians. They pay money to Nigel Farage to create a them and us attitude in our country. Between us and whoever the them is. Changes each day. Some days it's trans women. Some days it's disabled. Some days it's people coming from other countries. Some days it's people coming from other countries to escape war. Some days it's the Irish. But, some days it's the French. Whoever they decide, they just they just spin a dial, spin a wheel, just decide. And so I have no particularly moral compulsion to feel like I should be nice to the government of Russia or to the soldiers, the mercenaries, the Wagner group, fighting to destroy other people's countries. Because like I said, it doesn't end in Ukraine. The Wagner group, or whatever it's mutated into since Putin had his best mate shot out of the sky, whatever it's mutated into, is now operating in about 25 countries in Africa. That's nearly half the countries in Africa. It lurking in the shadows, fomenting rebellion and funding insurgent groups and terrorists, terrorizing the people of Africa and the people of the countries of Africa. So yeah, Trump is evil. Putin is even more evil. Simple as that. This is not hyperbole. These men are united by their contempt for democracy, their contempt for international law, their contempt for Ukraine and its sovereignty, Europe's sovereignty, NATO's credibility. This is that they don't like the idea of nations having the right to decide their own future. These disgusting, tacky, money people, bleeding money everywhere. And they're trying to tell other countries how they run their stuff. Trump has put a 50% tariff on Brazil because their judicial system is putting on trial a man accused of trying to overthrow the government of Brazil. And Trump doesn't like that. And I love the fact that we are in a parallel world at the moment in which the recognition of the state of Palestine is seen on the same as a gift to terrorists, a gift to Hamas. That's what the Israeli government are calling it. And yet, what do you think giving Putin a fifth of Ukraine's entire landmass is? An area the size of Britain. Giving it to Putin on the basis of absolutely nothing. The basis of absolutely nothing. This is exactly, and I mentioned this yesterday as well, it's exactly what happened in the 30s with Hitler. Honestly, there's nothing different about it. There is nothing different. As far as I can see, it's a country seeing what it can do, seeing who it can invade and get away with. It invaded, it crushed Chechnya. It rolled its tanks into Georgia. It rolled its tanks into Ukraine. And the international community went, oh. And this is where I think that no matter what happens in this summit in Alaska on Friday, I think that it's time for the EU and the UK to team up and tell Vladimir Putin in no uncertain terms to get the fuck out of Ukraine. Like we did to Saddam Hussein when Iraq invaded Kuwait and we went in all guns blazing and said, get the fuck out of Kuwait. This has been done before. It can be done again. And maybe don't even fucking tell them. It's not like the Russians are abiding by the Geneva Convention in any way, shape, or form. And all we're doing, we're talking about it. We're making fucking speeches. I find it so frustrating. We're condemning it. Trump's just taken over the police force in Washington, D.C. And the Democrats go, oh, hang on. I'm going to write a strongly worded speech. I'm going to read it out from an auto cue. Ha! That'll show him. I'll snitch the teacher. Miss. Trump is he's taken over the police in Washington, D.C. Miss, will you do something about it? And the teacher's like, I can't do anything about it. And the kid's like, oh. Sorry, the Democrat's like, oh well. Instead of fighting back, they're saying no, fuck off. They're saying, okay, you wanna get the police force in Washington, D.C. to be under your control? Tell you what, Trump, next time you're in New York, we're going to arrest you for your crimes, your many crimes that you've committed, because you're a fucking criminal. How about that? Or don't even wait for him to go to New York, just fucking arrest the fucker. So, this meeting on Friday, apparently it's going to be a one-to-one between Trump and Putin, old friends, old oligarchs, old evil people. There's going to be no EU. There's going to be no NATO, possibly no Ukraine. I say no NATO. Obviously, America's going to be represented, but I don't think they're really part of NATO anymore. Well, they are on paper, but that's about it. And the format is an idea from the Kremlin that the White House has agreed to. And with this one-on-one arrangement, there'll be no oversight, no record, no counterbalance for Putin's demands. Trump has said it's a feel-out meeting, but he's been talking openly about swapping Ukrainian land for what? For what? Ukraine hasn't got territorial ambitions over fucking Russia. Doesn't give a fuck. Ukraine, like the vast majority of countries in the world, actually respected the International Convention on Borders staying as they were. Ukraine didn't try and invade neighbouring Moldova, take it over. Didn't try and trash Transnistria, where the Russian outpost, this weird little slither of land along a river, where people still think they're living like it's 1959, height of the Cold War, and they're on the Russian side. No, there's no land swap. It's just Russia, get out of Ukraine. Just get out of Ukraine. And if Trump cedes this portion of Ukraine to Putin without even bringing Ukraine into the discussions, is he going to have a little piece of paper he's going to wave in the air and say peace in our time? Because that'll have some historical parallels, won't it? Won't it? Pygmalion says, Washington, D.C. is not a state, or he would not be able to do it. Yep. But they've looked through every law. They've looked through every loophole. They've gone, yep, this law from 1801, we'll use that. They've gone through, they've spent 50 years, the Federalist Society and the Heritage Foundation have spent 50 years going through every single law in America and going, right, when we get into power, this is what we're going to do. They said they're going to do it, and they're going to do it. Mark my words, these people who are going to be working for ICE, they're recruiting like crazy right now. They're going to have an army of about 50,000 people who are working for ICE, probably more. And as soon as they've got rid of all the undesirables from the country and the economy goes to shit, people are out in the streets going, hey, why can't I afford to eat anymore? Trump is going to use his ICE people as his own Gestapo. Absolutely guarantee it. America is beyond fucked, and I kind of don't want to talk about it anymore because it's got to a point now where it just depresses me too much to even consider it. I'm just trying to stay off that at the moment and just talk about European politics, but obviously this affects us in Europe, this bastard going out there and doing exactly what Neville Chamberlain did. Give the Nazis off of Czechoslovakia and don't even invite the Czechs along to see if, they're into this. So Putin's goals here are sanctions relief, which is hilarious because the sanctions have done nothing whatsoever to stop the war machine rolling into Ukraine. Sanctions don't fucking work. Sanctions just seem to affect the poor who have to queue up for food. Doesn't affect the oligarchs. Doesn't affect the rich. Can I say this again? I know I say it too much, but look at all the things that these motherfuckers do to us and then ask, does it affect them? Brexit. Did it affect the rich? No, it fucking didn't. They got richer. Did COVID affect the rich? No, they got richer. The rest of us didn't. The rest of us really didn't. Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. I get the truly awful feeling there's going to be a sorting out between Europe and Russia, followed by a sorting out between Europe and the USA. Thanks very much for the £5 super chat. I think that Europe needs to essentially give the Russians an ultimatum You have a week to get out of Ukraine, or we are going to bomb the living shit out of any Russian that we find in Ukraine. That's it. End of. We're just going to do it. And yeah, Russia is desperate at the moment. It doesn't have enough soldiers, as we all know. It's bringing in mercenaries from Africa, from North Korea, inexperienced soldiers from prisons. And yeah, if Europe turned up carrying a big fucking stick, and that's the deal. Just get out. Just get out. We have no territorial ambitions over Russia. We're not going to tell you what to do. We just want you out of Ukraine immediately. Get the fuck out. You've got a week. You've got a week. Withdraw. Make them the ultimatum. Or in fact, don't. Just bomb the shit out of the front lines. Just bomb them. And then give them the ultimatum. Right. That's for starters. Here's the main course. Coming in a couple of days. Get the fuck out. And if he decides not to get the fuck out, then, launch the assault. Do it a day earlier so he's not expecting it. Good little trick there. God, they should put me in charge of all this. Fucking wipe him out. I never used to be this war hungry. I used to be a lover, not a fighter. But I'm sick of it. And I am really, really disturbed by the parallels with the 1930s. And I hate the idea of letting a bully get away with it. More than I, love peace and goodwill and singing songs, holding hands. At the same time, I detest bullies. And Trump is a bully. Netanyahu is a bully. And Putin is a bully. And those bullies need to be put back in their fucking boxes. And the only thing that a bully responds to is force. It is force. That is it. You need to have a proper sanction that actually fucking hurts them. So yeah, Putin's out for sanction relief. He's out for formal recognition of occupied territories. He wants a photo op with the US president so he can pretend that they're equals, even though that the GDP per capita of Russia is about the same as the GDP per capita of Grenada in the Caribbean. Yeah, superpower, man. Look at that superpower go. Woo! And obviously, more than anything else, Putin wants to drive a wedge between Europe and the US. Because, make no mistake, it will not end in Ukraine. You see, when things started ramping up in Germany in the 1930s, Hitler put the economy of Germany on a war footing. He needed the war for the economy to keep going because it was overheating. It was, there was too much government money going into it. He needed a war to get a war effort. So people were like, okay, yeah, I'm happy to give up my time to go and fight. I'm happy to give up my time to do this and that. He set up a war economy. And Putin's done exactly the same. His country needs to be in perpetual war now in order for him to stay in power. Because he has a war economy. So don't think this is going to end in Ukraine. He's going to push on to Moldova. He wants to take Odessa in Ukraine and then press on into Moldova. He wants to take over Moldova. He also wants to take parts of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania, the Russian-speaking areas. And he also wants to take over the corridor between Poland and Lithuania, which connects Kaliningrad with the rest of Russia. And there he'll have all of the warm sea ports that he needs. David Faulkner, thank you very much for the 38 Hong Kongian dollars. Thank you. Whatever deal Putin and Trump make, you can be sure it won't be worth the paper it's written on, as neither side will honour it. Yep, that's absolutely true. Because neither of them respect the International Criminal Court. So what law is them over them? They're both permanent members of the UN Security Council. The daftest decision ever made by any, supranational group. This idea that we're gonna give Britain, France, America, China and Russia, a permanent seat on the Security Council who can override anything, overrule anything. So 192 other members of the UN want to do something, and Russia alone can overrule it. A country, I'll say this again, with the GDP per capita of fucking Grenada. A country that has never known democracy. A country that has just bounced from barbarity to barbarity throughout history. Possibly not their fault. Perhaps that was just, an accident of fate or whatever. But, if you take out all the nice people, the only people left to breed for the next generation will be the psychopaths. And it looks like some mental health disorders might be hereditary. ADHD certainly is. Anyway, so let's talk about Zelensky's position. This is Ukraine's position. Zelensky is not giving up land. Not now, not ever. And he warns that concessions will not slow Russia's war machine. It will speed it up, which is exactly the point I just made. And he points to 3.5 years of full-scale war and ongoing offensive as proof that Russia is not negotiating in good faith and never will. Because it doesn't give a fuck. What's stopping Russia from doing what it wants? Nothing. And that's why I don't believe they have nuclear weapons that are usable right now, because what's stopping them using them against Ukraine? International condemnation. They've already got that. Has international condemnation stopped Israel doing anything Israel wants to do? Has it? Fuck. Has international condemnation stopped Trump doing anything he wants to do? Has it? Fuck. So what else have you got? What else have you got in your grab bag? Oh, we can put some sanctions on them. Yeah, good job. Putting sanctions on the biggest country in the world that has more raw materials than entire continents put together. All right, mate, yeah. See how well we do there. Also, good mates with Iran and North Korea and other rogue states that will keep supplying it. And also good mates with India who will keep buying its oil. The carbonaceous slime that we could really do without. If we weren't so beholden to it, if we didn't sacrifice our everything on the altar of oil like we do, of slime, a foreign slime, a slimy, dirty altar, just really grubby. Even if you stand near it, you need to get some Swafiga to wash it off. It's disgusting, dirty, horrible stuff, and we are addicted to it. And it turns us into fucking morons who say things like, you want sovereignty? Petrol, sovereignty. And I don't understand how anyone who can say, I want sovereignty doesn't want energy sovereignty. They're like, no, it's all right. I'll let the Saudis decide how much I pay for my petrol. Yeah? I'll let Putin decide how much I pay for my gas. I'm a fucking idiot. Then you got to be thick as fucking pig shit in this world right now to be looking at an internal combustion engine going, that's the way to do it. Yeah, foreign slime. Dig it up from under the sea, off the coast of Angola. Bring it over here. Fucking put it in your cars. The whole process takes about a fucking year and costs millions and millions of pounds. But yeah, let's do this. Because I don't want to see those wind turbines. Woo! Fucking Donald Trump Quixote. Donny Quixote. Tilting at his windmills. I don't hate windmills, he said. You like them? I'm trying to play golf and I'm distracted by the windmills going round. Fucking arsehole. Piss off back to your own country. Don't come over here and complain about ours, you shitbag. I'll complain about yours if you like. America's a shithole. I was watching The Bear. Right, I'm going to go off a little bit of a tangent. Stay with me for a moment. First of all, I'm going to read Umka's €5 super chat. Thank you, Umka. They will announce the creation of the great country United States of Putistan and Trumpistan. Yep, I could see that. I was watching the Bear, and there's an episode in which one of the chefs is looking for inspiration, and she spends the day walking around Chicago. And then the next episode, it's another chef who's looking for inspiration, but he's walking around Copenhagen. It might be in the same episode, actually, just to show the two different cities. And Copenhagen has trees and avenues and green areas. It's got cycle lanes. It looks nice. The buildings look nice. And then compare that with Chicago. That just looks like a fucking hellhole. Like, there's no grass. There's no trees. Or they don't show them. And then they've got that noise of that fucking overhead railway, the L train. Just like rattling through the city like some demonic fucking plague that you can hear. And then you've got like these buildings that are all just generic and shite, and they're just boring, and they've just been, bolt to build. I was looking at the design of a building this morning because I'm interested in like that. And it was for a building in Liverpool that's getting restored. And I'm glad that it's getting restored. But I was having a look at the way that they've done the plans. And it is so obvious that they created one unit for people to live in, right? One unit. And then they've just gone Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V, Control V. And then they've done that on the other side of the building as well. And they've done that. They've got like 80 fucking apartments in there. And they are all, every single one is the same. Every single one. And it breaks my heart that there were great architects of the day, like Gaudi in Barcelona, who spent their entire life working on projects like the Sagrada Familia. Still working on it till the day he fucking died. He hit by a tram, dressed as a tramp. They thought he was a beggar. And then you've got people who just copy and paste, and they go, I'm an architect. Oh, copy and paste, copy and paste. Pisses me off. Just pisses me off. Can I just say this? There's no straight lines in nature. So I'm paraphrasing Gaudi there, because Gaudi actually said there's no straight lines in nature, and he's absolutely bloody right. Now, I'm aware that it appeals to a certain person, which like Crocs, I suppose. Which is fine, If people want to wear Crocs or listen to music that I don't like, they can listen to all the Maroon 5 they like in their own home. But don't make me listen to it. Don't make me wear Crocs. And don't make me look at your ugly fucking buildings. Put them somewhere that I can't see them. I don't want wind turbines to be hidden. I want ugly fucking buildings to be hidden. The brutalist shite that white fascists from Europe just put out all over the world and went, right, this is your lot. Preformed concrete shite. I know, man. So yeah, America. Fuck. And New York. Jesus, don't get me. New York stinks. New York fucking... No one talks about this. It's like paradise, right? Okay, so the Caribbean. Bocas del Toro, Panama. Looks like paradise. All the pictures, beautiful beaches, fucking deserted. You can have a beach to yourself. It's amazing. Going snorkeling and seeing all the beautiful sea life, fish and the nurse sharks and the dolphins. It's fucking amazing, in the pictures. But when you actually live there for 3 years, there's a few things that you don't get from the pictures. Like the midges that bite the ever-living shit out of you every dawn and dusk of every day. You don't see that because it's not in the pictures. So when you see these pictures of New York and you're like, whoa, what a happening city. Whoa, look at the Flatiron Building. Whoa, look at the Empire State Building. Whoa, look at the Chrysler Tower. It's beautiful. What you don't see is just how much it fucking stinks because there's no back alleys because they were so obsessed with making money. It's just capitalism. It's like a microchip where they've tried to just cram as many connections in as possible. And they've not left any room for any green or anything pleasant. And there's a few trees dotted around. But when you see like an area for people to exercise in New York, it's hardly ever a park. It's hardly, there's Central Park, obviously, but that's too big and stupid. But there's not little parks dotted around like there is in London or Manchester or Liverpool or even Durham. You don't have little parks. No, you have a cage. You have a human cage that's got a basketball hoop in it. And it's a cage and there's no grass. And you look at it going, this is horrible. This is absolutely horrible. How do humans live like this? How do humans live so out of touch with nature, where every square inch of land is taken up with either tarmac, which is made from carbonaceous slop, or concrete, which is just fucking slop, that's solidified stone. That's all it is. Solidified stone slop. Yeah, sorry for going off on this, but I mean, America's a shithole. It really is. Las Vegas, shithole. LA, try walking around LA. It's a fucking shithole. I don't even know. Is there a nice part of America? Because I've never seen it. I suppose there's some woods somewhere, but you might get chopped up by a psychopath. There's loads of psychopaths over there. Ooh, we got a massive super chat there. Ooh. So first of all, Peter, thank you very much, Peter Morrison. The US has 8 parking places per person. Yeah, it's just concrete. There's no grass. There's no trees. Before I get to Paula's comment, and I will because it's 50 quid. Thank you so much, but I just want to finish off saying this. There's a place in Germany, in Berlin, where they have the Gardens of the World, right? Look this up. Gardens of the World in Berlin. And they have like a Japanese garden, and they have an Indian garden. They have these, different gardens based on different parts of the world with different trees, different plants, different flowers, depending on where, they're from, right? The American bit is a car park with a bit of land that's been sectioned off so you can't actually walk on it, bit of grass, right? And some dead palm trees. You think I'm making it up, but genuinely that is the America enclosure of the Gardens of the World exhibition exhibition in Berlin. The paved paradise, apparently. Ms. Paula Thomas, thank you so much for the rather splendiferous mega chat. Woohoo! So if it's a super chat up to 50 quid, anything over 50 quid is a mega chat. Anything over 100 quid is a hyper chat, and anything over 200 quid, which I think is the maximum, is a hyper chat. We've had a couple of hyper chats before, but they're quite rare. Also, mega chat's not quite rare as well. So I just want to say a big thank you to Paula for that. That is incredible. Thank you. Worth dragging my carcass out of my deathbed this morning for this. Trump and Putin want the same thing from Ukraine. It's mineral wealth. I was in what is now Serbia a month before Milosevic went into Kosovo working at a gold and copper mine. That part of the world has incredible mineral wealth. Yeah, absolutely. 100% right, Miss Paula Thomas, and that's exactly what they want. I mean, they're not there for the people of Ukraine to save them from the Nazis, which is the excuse that they've come up with. Martin Harrow, quite rightly in the chat. Thank you so much, Paula. That is really kind of you, by the way. That is really proper kind of you. Thank you. Martin Harrow, jumping in there. Skyscrapers in NYC are based on the construction method of a building in Liverpool. Yeah, the Liver building. The Liver building in Liverpool. It's not just any old building, it's a Liver building. Because it was steel beam construction. First steel beam construction, so you could have more levels. The reason why, more than anything, the Great Pyramid of Giza stood as the tallest building in the world for, 4,000 years? No, 5,000 years? When were the pyramids built? What, 4,000 BC, was it? For almost 6,000 years, was because it's a ball ache having to walk up that many stairs. So, with the Industrial Revolution coming in, up until the point where they had elevators, lifts, there was just literally no point in building things that were really tall because it was just a bastard to get to the top of them. And they could build churches and, with a tower that you had to go up when you had to change the bell once every 50 years. But, that was about it. That to me is just like, oh yeah, that's why they did it. Because there were no lifts and no one can be asked climbing up that many steps. But yeah, once the lift was invented in the late 1800s, then, well, hey, let's build really tall buildings. And yeah. In fact, Central Park was modelled on Birkenhead Park over the water from Liverpool. I think it was the same designer, actually, as someone looked that up. Someone look up the link between Birkenhead Park and Central Park, because I've got a feeling that they are somehow intrinsically linked. Well, there you go. What's kind of interesting as well is that a lot of the parks in the UK in the Victorian era were actually influenced by Indian gardens. Famously, Barber was not an elephant, but a gardener who worked for, was it Barber, the name of the gardener? I think so. who or was the name of the king or something, I don't know, who had these amazing gardens and pleasure gardens, and they very much influenced how we did things in the UK. But the idea of having parks, that became, quite a big idea around the world, and a lot of other countries went, oh, we need parks, we need nice places for people to get away from looking at buildings all the time. And some places, like in America, they went, oh, don't parks. Where can you make the money out of a park? Can't charge people to go in a park. Can't charge people to look at a tree. I also have some condemnation from Melbourne, because they had the opportunity to build a lovely park by Flinders Street Station, but instead they built an absolute abomination of steel and, well, it looks like tin. Let's say tin. Let's say tin and glass. A tin and glass abomination. Looks like a crushed shed. Looks like a shed's been dropped from a helicopter and just kind of crumpled on the ground. They just left it there. It's called Federation Square, and God, it's ugly. God, it is butt ugly. It's like, remember the logo for the 2012 Olympics? That's how ugly it is. It looks like that, but a building. It's shite. And the roof leaks. The roof leaks. Because there you go. Do your own research at Gray. Oh, there you go. In fact, the parks in the UK influenced Antoni Gaudi. Yeah, because there's a park that overlooks Barcelona, and he was the guy who designed it. And he actually spelt the name of the park, P-A-R-K, because he was influenced by the British parks. He didn't spell it the Catalan way, he spelt it the English way. True story. Space elevators for the win. Yeah, I agree. They built that for God knows why. I love that expression. They built that for God knows why. They built Federation Square to celebrate 100 years of independence from the British. And in order to celebrate that properly, they got a British architectural firm to design it. Okay, cool. You do you. Australia? Anyway, let's get back to Putin. Ugh, do we have to? Anyway, so Ukraine recently took retook 3 villages in the Sumy region, and Russians' attacks are still ongoing. Firefighters still battling blazes after shelling in Kostianitsia. I'm probably pronounced that completely wrong. Sorry, Svax. And Zelensky has warned Russia is preparing new offensive. One of the things that, rather than winding down, which is totally true, they are not winding down by any stretch of the imagination. There's a big problem with fly-by-wire drones, which literally have a wire attached to them, because they found that if they had remote control drones, that the Ukrainians would intercept them and be able to make them go the wrong way. So they have these fly-by-wires, literally have a wire of like optic cable or whatever it is, just like a little fine wire that actually reels off to with putting the information into the drone. And when the drones are shot down or when the drones explode or whatever, they leave these little gossamer trails, and they're all over the Ukrainian countryside now. Just miles and miles and miles of plastic, cables everywhere, which is the cleanup job from this demolition derby that this disgusting creep Vladimir Putin as gangster has carried out. This uncharismatic gangster is just shocking. It's absolutely shocking, and he thinks he's going to get away without paying for it when he really should have to pay for all the damage he's done. Not just get the fuck out of Ukraine, but he needs to pay for the damage he's done. And Zelensky has been speaking to leaders outside of Europe. He's been speaking to Modi in India. He's been talking to Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia, and also others to rally support. And he's trying to broaden diplomatic backing to complement what Europe is giving, so that the US-Russia axis isn't the only game in town. But the fact that Europe is being sidelined in all this is just absolutely disgusting. EU leaders have not been invited to any kind of discussion on the future of Ukraine since Trump took office. Early in his team, his envoy, Keith Kellogg, said explicitly that Europe will not be taking part in any peace talks. And this is not changed despite increased European defence spending. And the EU's response to this, they've had a virtual meeting of foreign ministers calling for unconditional ceasefire before negotiations can begin. They've announced another sanctions package. Can you guess how many sanctions packages this is that we've had against Russia now from the EU? Can you guess how many they've had? This is going to be the 19th. Really effective, those sanctions. I'll tell you what's more effective. Put all these sanctions, put them all together, put them in a bomb, right, and then drop it. There you go. That's a more effective sanction. There's been a joint EU statement, but saying peace cannot be decided without the input of Ukraine. This has been endorsed by everyone, every leader of the European Union countries, apart from any guesses? Any guesses? Yeah, Viktor Orban, the fascist. Hungary should be kicked out of the EU forthwith. They should be suspended from the EU. There are mechanisms to do this. They should get the fuck on with it. I'm so sick and tired of the timidity in the face of this barbarity, the timidity, the fact they go, we've got to get a strongly worded statement, Dad. Look, I've written it on my little notes app on my phone. I've got AI to help me with my stronger worded statements. Here you go. So, we shouldn't do this. It's very naughty. Ha ha! That'll show him, eh? So, Orban, Jesus Christ, he's Putin's closest ally in Europe. He's repeatedly blocked EU support for Ukraine. He's the only EU leader not to sign the joint statement on Ukrainian sovereignty. Kick him out. Kick him the F out. So Germany's trying to do a mediation. Mediation, mate. Sometimes you just need fucking munitions, not mediation. We didn't have a conversation. No, because conversations lead to fucking capitulation, which leads to collaboration. Fuck that shit. Fuck them up. We've got the power to do it. Even take America out of the equation. The combined armies of our countries in Europe far outweigh what Russia can do. Far outweigh what Russia can do. And this German mediation, Friedrich Merz is convening virtual talks with EU leaders Zelensky and Trump on Wednesday, and the aim is to pressure Trump before Friday's meeting, and it's still unclear whether Trump's going to take part in this. And I'm all for cutting down on unnecessary plane travel, but this is the future of the planet that's at stake. Why are we doing virtual meetings? Can we just turn up and say, right, we need to decide something or no one leaves the room? There's a story that's told in the TV show Mad Men, and I don't know if it's true, but I'd like to think that it is, that Neville Chamberlain was a chain smoker, and he had a negotiation with Hitler over the future of Czechoslovakia, which he had invaded. And the story is that Hitler chose the location knowing that you weren't allowed to smoke in that building, and he wouldn't let the British Prime Minister leave until an agreement had been met. So Neville Chamberlain just agreed to what was put in front of him because he needed so badly to go outside for his nicotine fix. There's an argument that cigarettes caused World War II. And what Neville Chamberlain should have done at that point is put Hitler back in his box, which would have been a national humiliation for Hitler and ended his rule as leader, because the only way that Hitler could stay in power is by pretending that he was a strong man. Same with Putin. You show that he's weak to his people by forcing him out of Ukraine, and his reign of error is over. Thank you very much for the €5 super chat. Russian wealth source is oil. To win Russia, we must sanction China and India. But who would sanction 2.5 billion people? Yeah. Now, if 25 years ago, Britain had led the way on moving away from fossil fuels, pulling away from fossil fuels, then we would be in a situation now where most countries in the world are 95% on renewables. 95%. The world would be. It just would be. Because we would have the R&D put into solar cells and to wind turbines. That has taken 25 years to get to the point where we are. It would have taken 7 years. 7.5 years. A cheaper, more effective, easier way of delivering energy. We would have had EVs a lot earlier. But no, we cowed, we capitulated to the oil companies. We said we capitulated to the oil scumbag countries where the leaders are scumbags like Saudi Arabia and Russia. And we capitulated and said, no, we'll invite you to the COP talks and it has to be a complete consensus. Everyone has to agree or nothing is agreed. Not a majority, because these countries don't like democracy, do they? No, they don't like the idea of it being a democratic vote, just over 50. No, not even a super majority. No, it's got to be an absolute consensus of 100%. So that's nearly 200 countries all have to agree on the wording of a proposal to move us away from fossil fuels. That's capitulation by the people who are supposed to be standing up for us. So they're supposed to be standing up for humanity against these Russian oligarchs and these money men and the billionaires out there, and the Nigel Farages and the Trumps and the Orbans and the Netanyahus of the world. Where are they? Where the fuck are they? And we've got, what's his name? Fucking Starmer going on this week about small boats. Oh, I gotta stop immigration, gotta crack down on immigration. Do you know what he fucking sounds like? Do you know what he sounds like? This occurred to me this morning. He sounds like C-3PO dressing up as the Emperor and trying to convince people he's the Emperor. And it's like, no, dickhead, you're C-3PO. You're a Camp Butler droid. What the fuck? I'm going to out Emperor the Emperor. I don't think you are, 3PO. I don't think you are. Jesus Christ. Anyway, why this matters for Europe is this is an existential threat to the future of Europe. You have to understand that. Because like we keep saying, and like most of, I think all of you watching this know, he isn't going to stop at Ukraine. He didn't stop at Georgia. He didn't stop at he didn't stop at Grozny. He will continue to push and push and push. He's already got Russian troops, Russian special operatives in countries across the Middle East and across Africa. He is pushing and pushing and pushing and seeing what he can get away with. And so far, the pushback has been absolutely minimal. How useless do sanctions need to be for you to be able to get to your 19th package of sanctions and yet it have zero effect on the war that is waging? 19th packet of sanctions. Sanctions aren't working. My friends, it's time to take it up a notch. We can do it safely. We have drones. We have drone operators. We can send out the drones to eastern Ukraine and we can bomb the shit out of the Russian positions. It wouldn't even kill any fucking Russians. There's no Russians left there anymore. They're all mercenaries from other countries. Get the fuck out of Ukraine, Russia. That's it. That's it. The end of. End fucking of. And yeah, if Russia gets land through force, it sends a signal, not just to Putin, but to every other aggressor in the world. Do you understand? That countries have historical beefs. Countries that you don't even fucking think of. Like Bolivia has a beef with Peru, who once took Bolivia's access to the sea from it after a war. Bolivia also has a beef with neighbouring Paraguay, because there was a war there fomented in the 1930s by two different oil companies. This is true. Because they thought there was oil in eastern Bolivia. They thought there might be oil there. And so they made these countries fight each other. Thousands of people died fighting over some mythical oil that may or may not exist. Two major oil companies from other sides of the world, not from Bolivia, not from Paraguay, were fighting, were paying for this war. The result was that Paraguay took a load of Bolivia's land. And do you know how much oil they found? The square root of fuck all. And then we've got countries around Africa where there are territorial claims over their name. You can't do a lap of Africa. Why can't you do a lap of Africa, Graham? Well, because you have to go through Somalia. That's quite dangerous. But Somalia aside, the border between Algeria and Morocco is closed. It's been closed for nearly 50 fucking years now. Why? Because of Western Sahara, the Spanish Sahara. When they got independence in 1975, the Moroccans were like, we'll have a bit of that. The Algerians were like, we'll have a bit of that. And the Mauritanians were like, we'll have a bit of that. When you travel across the border from Western Sahara into Mauritania, you have to go through no man's land. It's like, imagine sand dunes in the desert. Now imagine that there's loads of burnt out cars upside down, things that have just blown up, right? In the sand dunes. It looks a bit like Mad Max. Okay, it's the closest thing in real life that I've been to that's been like Mad Max, with the possible exception of traveling down the freeway in Nigeria on the wrong side of the road. The reason why it's no man's land and why you can't deviate from the track, there's no road, it's just a track through the dunes, is if you get out to have a pee, it's a good chance you might stand on a motherfucking landmine. And that's why none of the cars have been cleared that have been slowly rusting in the desert for 30 years. Because no one wants to move them out because they might drive onto a landmine or step on a landmine and fucking die. We saw a border dispute this month, or last month now, between Thailand and Cambodia. Like, those countries have always had a beef with each other. If you visit the world famous Angkor Wat, this huge series of temples. I mean, it's vast. It's like a city of temples. In Angkor Wat, you'd spend the whole day, you wouldn't see it all. It's huge. It's a huge complex. And the nearby town where everyone stays is called Siem Reap. Siam, like the old name for Thailand, right? Reap meaning defeated. Defeated. That's the name of the town. Thailand's defeated. Or you could go in the Hindu Kush. What does the Hindu Kush mean? It means killer of Hindus. You think that these countries get along? They fucking don't. And there's an excuse to take that bit of land that they've had an eye on for a very long time. They might do it. When I was traveling to Eritrea, my plan was to go across the land border with Djibouti, this little tiny country, Djibouti. And I was going to go across. On my way there, as I was traveling up through Africa, there was a border skirmish. What was the border skirmish? Well, the apparently at the border between Djibouti and Eritrea, some Eritreans stand up and said, we need some sand for some construction stuff that we're doing. Can we come across the border and get some sand? And the Djiboutians went, all right, yeah, sure, get some sand. So they dug a big hole, and then they jumped in the hole and sat in the hole with their guns and went, right, we're not moving. Fucking hell. And then you've got the not just borders that are disputed between different countries that will no longer be respected if this is to be the new status quo, that you can just take what you want, really, because no one's going to stop you. You're going to have a lot of civil conflicts kicking off because of the whole divide and rule thing that the British did more than anyone else, but also the French did, and the Belgians and the Portuguese and the Spanish, but particularly the British. Let's talk about the British ones that we did. So Nigeria, we made sure that all the Muslims were in the north and all the Christians were in the south. Have fun. In Cameroon, we made sure that all the English-speaking people in Cameroon were on the border with Nigeria, and all the French-speaking were over to the west of the country, the east of the country. Sorry. Great, they get on. Not. There's going to be a lot of countries where there's a group of people living in one part of it who don't like the other people who are living in the other part of it. Angola, Cote d'Ivoire. You've seen it already in Sudan, where South Sudan's already broken off and become its own independent country in July of 2011. Whereas, they're still kicking off. There's still a humanitarian crisis going on right now in Sudan, the Darfur region, again. All these things, all these issues were being held back, all these battles, because of two things, right? The international condemnation, the fear of being chucked out of the WTO, the fear of being taken out of the Commonwealth, the fear of being of having sanctions put on you. But here's the news: America's put sanctions on pretty much every country in the world in the form of tariffs. So now, if I want to sell my stuff in America, the American buying it has to pay twice as much to buy the fucking stuff. So who are they going to buy it from? They're not going to buy it from me. They'll buy it from someone in America, or they're not going to buy it at all, which is more likely to be the case, if not something they desperately need. You've seen the Nintendo Wii's, haven't you? The Switches, Switch 2s. They've gone up. They've gone up from $450 to $550 in the space of a week in America. Yeah, that's fun, isn't it? So sanctions, they're not a threat anymore. We've already got them. Okay, what's the other threat? Well, we'll do what we did in Iraq when they invaded Kuwait, and we turned up. We said, "Oh, get out of Kuwait, you lot." That's not going to happen now, is it? David Faulkner, thank you so much for the 78 Hong Kong dollars. That's very kind of you. Many Russian and Ukrainians doing business in China. Their citizens are escaping the military draft. They are both linguistic, vodka drinking brothers here, although their countries are officially at war. Yeah. Well, I mean, I sailed with a ship's captain, Alexander, who was from Crimea, and he was Ukrainian, but he regarded himself as Russian. So yeah, I mean, the links between those two countries are huge, but I mean, the links between England and Wales are huge. But I'm pretty sure if we went into Carmarthen and went, no, this is England now, because there's English people here, and they're like, well, yeah, but there's Welsh people in Manchester. It doesn't give Wales the right to invade Manchester. There's French-speaking people in London. It doesn't give France the right to invade. There's Australians in London. It doesn't give Australia the right to come and invade us. That kind of justification is just bonkers. You ask the people who lived there, there was, and there still is. I mean, I suppose if you're in the east of the country, there always was the opportunity for people who lived in Ukraine to move to Russia fairly easily. A lot easier than I could move to Russia. Not that I'd want to, but if you wanted to, if that's the group of people that you wanted to hang with, go there. Go to their country and hang with them. But yeah. Ivory Coast. Côte d'Ivoire. Ivory Coast. Yeah, that wasn't a British possession. Obviously, that was a French colonial outpost. But yeah, that has very much that whole north-south divide of the people in the north of one religion, the people in the south of another religion, and never the twain shall meet. Okay, so let's. We're talking about why this matters. It means that not only will it give a green light to every other aggressor on earth, most notably right now, most disturbingly, Netanyahu. Also, it means that the borders of Europe will become negotiable again. Something that NATO was was created to prevent. And yeah, the Balkans. I mean, what about how Serbia feels about Kosovo? Don't forget, Serbia still thinks that it owns Kosovo. When I included Kosovo of my visit to every country in the world, oh my God, the shit I got from Serbians who, I'll put up a video of me going, hello, I'm in every country in the world, and show a little clip of me in every country in the world. And if there was a Serbian who was commenting on it, they were like, Kosovo's not a country. Kosovo is Serbian. Kosovo is Serbian. Like, just fucking spamming it to shit to say that Kosovo is Serbian. So you think they're going to look at this and go, oh, maybe Kosovo should be an independent state. Yeah. So, Russia is at the gates of Europe. It's on Europe's border. And I know that people go, but the border's in the Ural Mountains. It was only drawn there by a person. I think that the border of Europe should be a cultural one, because it kind of is anyway. It's just an arbitrary line. Just say, yeah, Russia, you're not part of Europe anymore. You just aren't. In our textbooks, if Trump can change the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America in all the textbooks in America, all the textbooks in Europe should. This is where the dividing line of Europe is. We don't involve Russia in UEFA. It's no longer part of UEFA. It can join the Pan Asian League, I guess. It can no longer take part in the Eurovision Song Contest, which it can't anyway. Not that being part of Europe is an essential part of being part of the Eurovision Song Contest, because obviously Israel and Australia both compete, and I think Canada's competed in the past. But yeah, just shut it out. It's not a member of the European Convention of Human Rights anymore. So what? It's not culturally European in that respect. Doesn't have any respect for democracy or rule of law or transparency, or not, killing your political opponents. So shut them out. Someone else can have them. Sorry, Asia. I love you, but you're gonna have to put up with this fucking basket case of a country. It's only the biggest country in the world. Not big enough for our liking. Woo. Twats. And allowing Trump to play kingmaker over European security, our security of our continent, it's fucking suicidal. It's giving up our sovereignty as a continent, as a group of 44 countries, 44 independent states. It's turning around and going, we'll just let someone else decide our fate. We'll just let someone else decide our future. Sovereignty, brother. Solidarity, Reg. And yeah, the historical parallels, I've spoken about it. Munich, 1938, the appeasement of Hitler with Czechoslovakia's territory. The Yalta in 1945, when the great powers carved up Europe without the consent of the smaller nations that were being consumed in the process. Hungary wasn't at Yalta. Poland wasn't at Yalta. Czechoslovakia wasn't at Yalta. They all got given to fucking Stalin to play with. And there's a quote, isn't there? If you're not at the table, then you're on the menu. And that's quite apt in this situation. We need to wake the fuck up and start doing something about it. I really wish we had a government that had the gumption to just go after these tyrants, these barbarians who are causing untold harm to people all over the world. And we don't have people who are prepared to stand up to them. And I get it to some extent. You got to be diplomatic, blah, 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 because we don't want our economy to take a hit. But, I mean, I think if we had a pop at Russia right now, we'd have them over a barrel. Get them to pay fucking reparations to us for murdering a British citizen on British soil. How about that? Use that as a pretext. I mean, there was the War of Jenkins' Ear, my friends. That was about a fucking ear. You know? We have more than enough historical pretext to say, yeah, this is out of order. We're going to stop you. And yeah, the broader strategy of Putin is to, to fracture the transatlantic alliance by keeping Europe out of the equation, using Trump as a channel to bypass NATO, and to court sympathetic or opportunist slug bags like Orban to undermine EU unity. And what he's seeking is normalization with the US. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov hopes the summit will give an impulse to the normalization of bilateral relations between the US and Russia. And they want the sanctions eased. They want the war aims legitimized, which they should never be, because it's just giving a green light. By by stopping the war in this manner, it's going to cause so many more wars down the line. This is the problem. This is where we are right now. So Europe can use its diplomatic muscle, can refuse to recognize any agreement that excludes Ukraine and Europe. It can increase sanctions pressure on Russia, especially in energy and shipping. Energy is the big one, though. And it can strengthen security guarantees for Ukraine, regardless of the US position. But it can also boost NATO's eastern flank with rapid reaction forces. It can support Ukraine with more advanced military, especially air defense and long-range strike capabilities, and prepare. I say prepare, like, why have I written prepare? Like, prepare for fucking hybrid warfare. We should have been prepared for this 25 years ago. But we need more cyber attacks. We need more disinformation. We need more sabotage of Russian infrastructure and Russian cyberspace. That's what we need to do. They've been doing it to us for years. Fuck them. We need to shut them down. Shut down their internet. Shut down their banking. Shut down their banking system so no one gets paid. This is something that the Ukrainians are very, very good at. We could learn stuff from them. And they need to isolate Orban. Hungary needs to be suspended from the EU immediately. Like yesterday. That should have happened years ago. That guy's so far up Putin's arse, you can see the future. Fuck him. And we need to ensure there's a public awareness, and this is something that we can help with, I guess. Public awareness in Europe of the stakes. Because to say you want to pursue peace at any price, right? The price of peace in this situation, if Russia is allowed to keep its territory, is the outbreak of dozens of conflicts around the world down the line. Condemning this fucking planet for the next 75 years to more of the shit that we had in the 20th century. Some of us hoped we had left behind. Some of us who studied history. Some of us who bothered to read a fucking book. Some of us who bothered to get off our fucking arses and go out and see the fucking world. I'm sick of being told by people who haven't got a fucking clue, haven't got the first fucking clue that I'm wrong about something because they saw a video on YouTube. I'm doing a video on YouTube. Doesn't mean I'm right about everything, but at least I've tried to do a bit of fucking research. So do your research, mate. Do your research. Well, I've done it. Got a degree. Got a degree in history and politics. Go on, what have you got? Oh, I went on the internet. I've read some Wikipedia pages. Well done. Actually, they don't go on Wikipedia, do they? They just watch TikTok videos. I watched some videos on TikTok, and now I know it all. Fucking hell. Do you want to get a certificate? Do you want to get a certificate in that? I'm watching YouTube videos. Fucking idiots. Look, at the end of the day, whatever happens on Friday, this is not peace talk. This is an authoritarian stitch-up. And Europe cannot rely on Trump to safeguard our security, and we must be proactive. That's that's the hill that I'm prepared to die on, quite literally in this case. If Ukraine loses, the war comes to us all. It's that simple. It is that simple. One way or another, the war will come to us all. And you might think, well, no, Graham, but would it get that far? In Europe alone, there's about 50 different separatist organizations. 50 around the continent that want separatism. For the Basque region, for Catalan, for parts of France, for parts of Belgium, for parts of Netherlands, for parts of Germany. Cornwall would quite like not to be part of England, thank you very much. Some people in Cornwall would. What if that turns violent? What if the people in Northern Ireland who don't want to be part of Britain anymore go, hang on. So what you're saying is if we start blowing people up, we'll get what we want. We'll get it handed to us on a silver platter because peace at all costs. Peace at all costs. Peace at any price. That's the price of it. We don't know the cost. What was the cost of you two having a good time? So yeah, Trump is playing great man diplomacy while ignoring the people whose lives are on the line. And Putin's playing the long game. And, unless we wake up and point it out and and get ready to go toe-to-toe with that motherfucker, he's going to win. He's going to win. And Europe must fight back. Must fight back. With diplomacy, with unity, with sanctions, and yes, if necessary, and I think it's necessary, with force. Because fuck them. Absolutely fuck them. We got what, 400 billion, is it, in seized, in frozen Russian assets? Fuck that shit. And Starmer's like, oh, we've got to look into the legal ramifications of this. Fuck that. Just take it. What are they going to do? Take us to the fucking International Court of Justice? They're not a part of it. Don't worry, Starmer. No one's going to take you to court over it. Just fucking do it. Jesus. Anyway, right. Graham is close to crash out. I read a book once. Green it was, says Sarah. Yeah. And Elle, sending lots of love to Elle in the chat there. Everyone says Elle is well loved. We love Elle in this chat. Again, this is why I cannot consider myself a pacifist, says wanting your pain. Sometimes you have to fight. Yeah. Sometimes the best way to get those peas is with a knife. Okay, so I'm going to just head over to the morning papers. Before I go, I'm going to try to do a bit of a shorter show today because I'm not feeling so great. Why tradeswomen are replacing the white van man. Okay. I may be 90, but I won't give up driving. Oh, that's very selfish of you. Can you make sure that you can see, though, please, before you... Kyiv ready to give up land for peace. Zelensky softens position before Trump and Putin's crunch meeting in Alaska. This is bullshit. This is complete bullshit from the Daily Telegraph, just farming out Kremlin propaganda. Nice of them. There's a picture of some children. Want to save water, delete your old emails. Okay. Sounds like greenwashing to me. And Starmer would not describe shoplifters as scumbags, says number 10. Okay. Very diplomatic of him. I don't see what the problem is there. If he doesn't want to describe shoplifters as scumbags, that's fair enough. Some shoplifters are doing it to stay alive in this current climate. Taxman admits using AI to snoop on cheats. Oh, that's not good, is it? Badenoch calls for asylum seeker camps. You want some concentration camps? You want to concentrate all these people in a camp, do you, Badenoch? Do you? Is that what you want to do? Fucking arsehole. And then we've got Trump sends in troops to clean up Washington. I love the way that they write that. Jesus Christ. Absolutely unprecedented overreach of presidential power. And they're like, he's going to clean up Washington. Washington's not suffering from a crime wave. It's actually, crime is down to a 30-year low in Washington. He's doing it as a power grab, as anyone with half a brain can see. But then anyone with half a brain doesn't read this fucking trash. Energy giant in crisis over US's war on wind. Well, yeah. Let's get more wind stuff set up in elsewhere. The truth has died. Global fury as Israel strikes kill journalists. The death of the prominent Al Jazeera journalist Anas al-Sharif is an Israeli airstrike that also killed 4 of his colleagues. It prompted global condemnation yesterday as hundreds of mourners carried the victims' bodies through the streets of Gaza City. Absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting what Ukraine, what Israel has done. I just want to just check on something because over 200 journalists have been killed now in Gaza. Over 200 I think it's hang on. I just want to get the exact figures here. So, according to CNN, at least 180 journalists have been killed. I've heard it's more than that. I've heard that it's 219. I think that was the last figure that I read. The International Federation of Journalists, the IFJ, says at least 195 journalists and media workers have been killed. Okay, so we're looking at nearly 200. Nearly 200. And according to Al Jazeera, They claim that nearly 270 journalists and media workers, so that would have been camera ops and stuff, have been killed by Israeli attacks in the 22 months of war, right? So let's say about 200 journalists killed in the last 3 years in Gaza, right? For context, a total of 69 journalists were killed in the 6 years of World War II. So yeah, just let that sit for a moment. Attacks on A&E nurses there rise by 91% in 6 years. This is an absolutely shocking story about the nearly doubling of attacks on A&E nurses and other health staff working in hospitals, particularly in A&E, as a direct result of people's frustrations over the Tories' budget cuts to the NHS that have led to these incredible wait times where people have been in A&E in pain, suffering or seeing their loved ones suffer. And I'm not trying to minimize or excuse the people who do this, because obviously they should go to fucking jail for a very long time for assaulting a member of the medical staff, or assaulting anyone, to be honest with you, but particularly the staff who were there to help them. But I don't think that we would be in this situation had the Tories not allowed the NHS to get into such a fucking state. And we're talking about an increase from violence against nurses and A&E units in England, right, has rose from 2,122 in 2019 to 4,054, almost doubling in 2024. It just fucks me off on so many levels. The fact that we have a government that didn't give a fuck about the people working on the front line. And they said, thank you, carers. We went out and we clapped. And do you remember that shite that the government said, oh, go out and clap, while they were having parties and giving loads of money to their mates and feathering their own nests and making sure they were going to be on the board of the companies, of the privatization of the things that they privatized or taken out of the nation's hands. And don't forget, we talk a lot about privatization from back in the day, the telecom getting privatized, and the water and the British Airways and all that kind of stuff. But there's loads of little functions in government, like the Higher Education Statistics Agency, that's now a not-for-profit business. It was taken off the people who were working as civil servants, and now it's given to a not-for-profit company to put that data together. And the Tories did that. The Tories just put together these sort of they used to be called quangos, and they're not quite quasi-autonomous non-governmental organizations or whatever it was called. It's not quite what they are, but terrible idea, absolutely terrible idea. And the selling off of the nation silver continues. So there you go. And then we got a warning of drought-like weather until mid-autumn, which doesn't surprise me because of climate change, which some people still think is a hoax because they're fucking idiots. Beckham's people, I don't care. None for the road. Biggest changes to decades as drivers' alcohol limit reduced. Older motorists may be forced to take eye test every 3 years. Good. I think that people should have to take the tests again every, let's say, 10 years. Cut down the price for it. Make it cost less to take your test, because it is a bit of a unfair taxation on people. I mean, if it's 50 quid for one person who's earning 50 quid a day, that's going to be a lot more than someone who's earning 50 million a day. So yeah, don't make it too aggressive. But yeah, I wouldn't mind having to take my test again. I'm 46. I've been driving now for 30 years. 30 fucking years I've been driving cars. I don't think I'm particularly good at it. I don't think I'm any better than anybody else, but people get into cars and they act like twats. They do. I do. You do. Everyone does. They get infantilized by a car. They get into a car and they're like, I can't walk anywhere now. Oh, carry me. like a baby, like a fucking baby. Oh, carry me, car. Take me to exactly where I need to be. And they'll drive like right outside the cash point. Or they'll go, right. They need to get like right outside the door of the place where they're going to. And it's why it fucks up all our city centres. Because the cars need to access everywhere. Why? Fuck them. Just cut off the city centres. London, Manchester, Leeds, Liverpool, Newcastle. Just cut off the city centres from cars. That's it. Have a nice car park on the fucking, the outside of it. And then the only people in the inside are pedestrians. And people go, what about the disabled? They only care about the disabled. Have you noticed this? They only care about the disabled when it comes to stopping able-bodied people who turn into infants when they're in a car. And they're like, I can't possibly walk more than a few meters to anywhere. It might be raining and I can't afford an umbrella. I can afford a brand new fucking Audi, but I can't afford an umbrella. Just go out. But like, you see a lot of disabled people in Alton Towers. You see a lot of disabled people in Disneyland. Yeah? Don't you? Yeah? They fucking park outside. And you might get a little mobility scooter or something, a little golf cart to move about in. That's fine. Short mobility. I don't care. Just the idea that we have to like be able to park exactly where we need to be. It's ridiculous. It's so stupid. It's so bananas. But also the idea that we should drink up to the limit or drive up to the limit. One of the other shake-ups I want to see, along with 0% alcohol in your blood when you drive. That is it. It's got to be 0. I also want to see on-screen displays, touchscreen displays in cars banned because they are dangerous as fuck. And I also want to see the speed on country roads taken down to 30 miles an hour. 20 if you're feeling fruity. 60 is insane. It's 10 miles an hour off a fucking motorway speed limit. 60 miles an hour along a country fucking road. Are you mad? Are you mad? Oh, it's a single track and only one car can get through at a time. But, what's yeah. And it's why the equivalent number of people who die in the cities, right, in car accidents is far greater per accident that people die on country roads. Because they're going faster. You can't get up to that kind of speed in a city. You've got to stop every 5 seconds for a roundabout or a traffic light. Quite rightly. Fucking stop, cars. The cars must not stop. We must make the pedestrians walk an extra kilometre to get across this road. We must walk half a kilometre to the bridge, go up the bridge, climb over the bridge, go down the bridge to the other side, walk back half a kilometre. Because the cars must not stop. Fucking car Nazis. Can't be dealing with them. Can't be dealing with them. Instant ban if caught drink driving. Yep, absolutely. I don't know why that isn't a thing already. I ride bicycles, can't stand motorbikes. So it's trip. I love it. I love motorbikes. I love it when you got like little quaint little country, village in the country, somewhere in Derbyshire perhaps. And then on the Sunday, all the people on the dead loud fart machines turn up. A good 100 of them turn up on their screaming fart machines. And they make loads of noise, like a little child banging a drum. Like Bart Simpson with a pan on their head, hitting it with a wooden spoon, going, I am Bart, I am Bart. I love that. It's so cool when they do that. You think, oh, wow, you've really enriched the ambience of this peaceful village by turning up in a fucking din machine. Well done, dickheads. So yeah, maybe we should have like a noise reduction act as well. Shut the FFF up. Yeah. Dressed like Power Rangers. There's gonna be some motorcyclists in the chat now going, fuck off, Graham. Motorcycling is fun. Stop spoiling my fun. It doesn't have to be so noisy. You can still get on your little death machine and fly off down the motorway at 70 miles an hour. I'm gonna stop you doing that. It just doesn't need to be so loud. Doesn't that? We've got technology now, We've spent a lot of time and energy making the engines quieter. No, it's got to be dead loud. It's going to look at me. We're going to drive down the street. And we're going to turn and go, ooh, what a dickhead. Anyway, have none for the road. Oh, Sunday service, what? Motorists, yes. Far stricter drink driving limits as part of a major effort to reduce the death toll on our roads. I couldn't agree more. Death is, I think we all know someone who died in a car accident in this country. And it's disgraceful. The rights that cars have seem to outweigh the rights that humans have. Fuck off. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of that being the norm. Like having to bow down at the altar with the fucking automobile. Fuck it. Fucking walk, you lazy bastards. No one complains that they can't drive up to Space Mountain in Disneyland. No one complains that they can't just drive up to the Nemesis in Alton Towers. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, but I can't take my car there. And then stand there in the queue for an hour. Oh, I'm not doing it then. I'm not doing it. No one does. Millions of people go to fucking Disneyland and to Chessington World of Adventures and to Alton Towers, and they park outside and they fucking walk for 7 miles to get on the ride they want to go on. It's possible. People will do it if you make city centres attractive and you fill them with bars and cafes and pubs and restaurants and things that people want to go to. Make it a bit of a destination place. No one's doing the shopping in the city centres anymore. So you don't have to worry about people having to carry, big boxes. But that's another thing. Like, what if someone wants to go and buy a fridge? They go to Selfridges because they sell fridges, and they go in and they want to buy a fridge, and then they have to walk 7 miles with the fridge to get back to their car. In your world, Graham. Yeah. That's what you have to do in Glastonbury. If you take a fridge to fucking Glastonbury, you have to fucking trolley it for 7 miles to get to where you're fucking camping. And they will go, I'm not going to Glastonbury, it's too much walking. Well, fine, don't go to Glastonbury then. Sorted. Happy days. Ban the fucking cars. Just ban them. Absolute ban. And on suburban streets, ban fucking lorries. You're not having a 40-foot container being put on the back of a lorry coming down little suburban streets. Fuck off. Just putting big fucking potholes in them. The amount of damage that vehicles do to the ground is logarithmic. Logarithmic. I think that's the right word for it. Might not be. I'm sure Joanna will correct me. Essentially, something that is twice as heavy does like 4 times the amount of damage. Something that's 4 times as heavy does 16 times the amount of damage to the road. So let's get rid of these really, 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 really heavy vehicles. If we can do away with them. I've spoken before about places that do not need double-decker buses. We do not need double-decker buses in Durham. Oh, it's rush hour, you say? Okay, we'll send 2 We'll send 2 minibuses then. We'll fit the same number of people in. We'll have fucking double-decker buses in a fucking little town that only has 1 fucking road. Are you kidding me? Yes, I know it's a city, but only because it's got a cathedral. I love the fact that Durham is a city for some reason. Whereas Reading isn't. Fuck you, Reading. Which Reading's like 10 times the size. T.E. Lawrence was a fan of motorbikes and country lanes, unfortunately for him, says Nick Chap. Yes, Lawrence of Arabia. He died on a motorbike. After all that, after single-handedly taking down the Ottoman Empire. Well, not single-handedly, but you know what I mean. But Graham, says Captain Coconut, what if I want to watch the latest Netflix while doing 70 mile an hour on the motorway? I don't see what the problem is. Crash sound, then silence. Yeah, exactly. No, the touchscreens in cars need to go. They need to go. I've said this. We need stream decks. We need these. Can someone give me a super chat so I can press the super chat button? Look. So if I press, it says super chat there. Look. If I press super chat, it makes the super chat. Isn't that cool? I think that's cool. Yeah, I can make my name come up. Look. That's by pressing the button on there. So I'm not like this, looking at my keyboard and trying to find on the screen how to make the thing happen. That's what I want. And you can program these buttons to say whatever you want. I might do it one day where I just have it like to say a rude word or something. But yeah, using these buttons, and also you can have folders and stuff. It's great. That's what I want. That's what I want in my car. So I know, I program it myself, and I put the things where I want them to be, and I know exactly what button to press to turn the fucking music off, because I need to maneuver, and I'm ADHD, and I cannot maneuver when the music's too fucking loud, especially if it's a song that I don't like. Also, for certain sections of the community, public transport is not too friendly, especially if it's policed by transphobic BPT, and you can't have a piss. That's very true, Kirsty. I mean, that's part of the whole wave of transphobia that Murdoch and his ilk have foisted on our once united kingdom. Fucking disgraceful. Absolutely disgraceful. I'm really sorry that's the situation. Many visitors to Chessington World of Adventures get the train and walk from Chessington South Station, says Colin. Yeah. People can walk. It's fine. It's okay. It's It's doable. Like, let's set up our cities so no one takes the car in, because there's no fucking point. It's cheaper and faster and easier to get there on a fucking tram or a train or a bus, a minibus. Tiny super chat. Yay. Veg pie. Yeah, so, thank you very much for this veg pie. And I'm going to press the super chat button. Super chat. Oh, look at that. It's so cool. That's what I want. I want to be able to program my buttons on my car. Dashboard with, say, 20 buttons. And I can get each one to do my own thing. And I can have it so that, we can go to another array if I wanted to. The car is too loud. I can't see. A common silly thing we all say, which is daft. No, I mean, it's not about not being able to see. It's about dysregulation. It's about the fact that there's too many stimulations coming in at the same time. And if I'm driving and I'm having a chat about something, if I'm on the motorway, fine, I can talk all day, right? But if I'm maneuvering, especially if I'm maneuvering into a parking position and parallel parking or whatever, I can't keep the conversation going because my brain can't have that extra thing coming into it at the same time. And also that can happen with music as well. Sometimes I'm fine with music, but it just depends, I guess, what it is. But even like talk radio, I have to turn that off. Or I'm listening to a podcast, I'll have to turn it off if I'm doing a maneuver. And having to press and hold the down, the down button for the volume for half an hour is really fucking annoying, right? Because why are we sitting in the middle of road, Graham? Which is quite dangerous. Not moving. I'm trying to turn the volume down. Why don't you just turn it off? Why don't you turn the console off? Because if I turn it off, then when I want the music to come back on, I'm going to have to go through all the fucking menu again to get it to come back on. So yeah, I'll turn it down and I'll turn it back up again. Right. Got off on a bit of a tangent there. There's the gobshite. Trump, I will try to get Ukraine some land back. Yeah, okay. Keen to cut cancer risk? Try turning vegetarian. Yes, being vegetarian is very good for you, and I would recommend it to anyone. Blue Peter inspiration, Biddy Baxter has died, aged 92. She was one of the first presenters of Blue Peter, and she went on to be a producer of the show for many, many years. I think in the 80s, she was the producer on the show. PM's scandalous failure sees Channel crossing landmarks hit record in 401 days. 50,000 migrant boat arrivals under Labour. Keir Starmer was blasted last night after Channel migrant arrivals under Labour surged past 50,000 in record time. I think they were actually higher under the Conservatives, but the Express ain't going to tell you that. But this is because of the situation we were left in by the Tories and by the Brexit that the Express expressly asked for. This is their Brexit. This is the result of their Brexit. They're like, oh my God, look what you made me do. Look what you made me do. Taylor Swift's 12th album was announced this morning, 5:00. For those of you who are up. Yeah, cool, eh? Right, Jen, Brad split was personal. Well, of course. Oh, sorry, hang on. You gotta see the papers. Woohoo! Moving over to the Metro. Brad's split was personal. Okay, yeah, I'm sure it was. It's a relationship. And then we've got warning as wait times fuel violence. 11 attacks a day on A&E nurses. A story that we covered in the Guardian. Financial Times, Trump opens door to NVIDIA selling best AI chips to China. This is some bribery that's gone on with the Trump administration where they've given him some gold. And he's gone, I like gold because I'm Smarg the Dragon. And he's Washington is going to take 15% of the revenues from NVIDIA. But it turns out you can tax the rich. Al Jazeera reporter who was killed by Israeli strike expected assassination. Yeah, he'd been on the death list from the IDF for many months. Interesting that they killed him now, though. They've known where he is. They've known exactly where he is for months. Why now? Why now on the eve of a boots-on-the-ground offensive that's going to see Israeli troops take over Gaza City? Why would they want to take out one of the last few remaining independent journalists in Gaza? Oh, it's because they mean to do war crimes and they don't want anybody filming it and sharing it on social media and turning the whole world against Israel. which we discussed yesterday, because it won't just turn the whole world against Israel, will it? Will it? Fucking idiots. Macron's hired investigators to probe US podcaster ahead of defamation suit. I'm sorry that's so small on the screen. I can't do much to make it better. It's a very low quality. But this is a lawyer for the wife of Emmanuel, the wife of Macron, who is Brigitte Macron, the wife of Emmanuel. The president is suing Candace Owens, who's an American podcaster who has claimed on numerous occasions that Brigitte is actually a trans woman because, I don't know, she's an older woman. Maybe there's a problem here. Maybe there's a problem where cisgender women who look like J.K. Rowling might get accused of being trans and not allowed to go for a pee because they don't look feminine enough. And obviously feminine is feminine. It's a very narrow beauty standard of the West. What looks good, what we regard as feminine. Like the Mar-a-Lago face, that melting face. Needs loads of Botox put in it. So you could end up looking like Laura Loma, who looks like the fucking little puppet on the tricycle from the Saw movies. Mar-a-Lago face. Jesus. Trip says, I got discombobulated. I love that word. There were so many, Colin, but where I live on the so-called Manchester side of the river, Salford, Manchester, Bury, Metro, Peswich, Merge. God, if I had a hammer, a magic hammer, there's so much stuff around this country that I would just say, right, we're not having that anymore. Magic hammer disappears, right? Or the magic bulldozer from SimCity, the original SimCity, you could pay $1 and you could bulldoze anything, right? I will bulldoze the Mancunian Way, bye. I will bulldoze that fucking beaten tower that can just die in so many ways. I just hate it from all angles, which you have to look at. Anywhere in Manchester you are, because it's like a big middle finger sticking up in the middle of Manchester saying, fuck you all. I'm a rich architect. I'm a millionaire. I'm going to live at the top and just look down on you all. There's a few things in Liverpool that need to go. They just need to go. I would do away with all of the roads in the city centre that have cars on them. That's it. No more cars in the city centre. Well, you can obviously deliveries before the city centre opens at 9 o'clock. But yeah, generally speaking, walk. Oh, you've been out for a night out. You're full of booze. Okay, that's great. Walk to the point where the taxi rank is. Yes, it's half a mile. Don't give a fuck. Walk to the point. You do not need to be picked up outside the club. You do not need to be picked up outside the bar that you've rolled out of at 3 o'clock in the morning. You do not. You can walk. It's fine. Get a kebab on the way if necessary. But if you can't walk that fucking distance, don't go out and get fucking hammered. Speaking of someone who often walked home from town as a kid, because, taxis were expensive. They still are. Colin says, my most memorable trip to Salford involved being photographed outside Salford Lads Club looking moody. Oh, I love the fact that the Lads Club is in Coronation Street. That's from Colin Baker. Yeah, but unfortunately, the Salford Lads Club, that's going to be permanently associated with Morrissey now, isn't it? Who's a dick. Way to make your legacy a dick's legacy, Morrissey. You gammony twat. Kirsty says, to be honest, these days, even if you're not a veggie, you can reduce your meat input considerably. E.g., you can take all the pepperoni off a pizza. It's not much meat. Yeah. And just have meat-free days. Just have days where you just don't eat any meat. Liverpool is small. You can easily walk around it. Says Martin, yeah, I know. Like, the same in Manchester, the actual city centre. Imagine if from Canal Street to the Northern Quarter was just pedestrianised. It'd be fucking brilliant. It'd be absolutely brilliant. You'd have access to the station. So you'd have that in Liverpool as well. You'd have access to the station. Just have the one road that goes to the station, and that's it. And I guess the taxis can use that. But other than that, I mean, You know, you turn up at Glastonbury, you're not given a fucking ride to your tent or to the stage. You fucking walk. Yeah, you got luggage, fucking trundle it along. Get those trundling luggage. Who needs fucking? Are we still living in the Victorian era where like the Victorian ladies would bring their hat boxes and 17 different fucking costumes to wear for Tuesday? Travel light. I'm now reminded of the Wimbledon final between Chris Eva and Yvonne Goolagong when Harry Carpenter was looking forward to a truly feminine occasion. Okay, I don't know the reference there, Colin. Sorry, you've lost me. Plymouth does me head in. Fucking concrete block by the sea. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Concrete by the sea. So many seaside towns in Britain have like a beach and then a road and then a hotel, or usually a really hideous arcade, which is dead tawdry and tacky. It looks like what Trump's done to the inside of the White House. It's all like gold leaf, but like shitty gold leaf, and red. It looks, like a bordello. There was an era called it was a Rococo, wasn't it? When it was all about making everything fucking gold. There was a particular era of architecture, but the White House is neoclassical. It's not Rococo. It doesn't have the bullshit at the top of the columns. I think it's mostly Doric columns by looking at it. I mean, I'll have to have a proper look. Sorry, Ionic columns, the ones with the scrolls either side. It's not Rococo, and to try and put Rococo stylings in there just makes it look like a somewhere where P. Diddy would have one of his little parties. That's what I'm saying. Andrea Jenkins is a middle finger enthusiast. She's a horrible, horrible woman. Wasn't Plymouth bombed in World War II? Yep, so was Liverpool. And the damage that the Nazis did, I think the Liverpool City Council in the 1960s was like, well, that's not enough. Let's see if we do some more. They took away, particularly heartbreaking for me, they took away the sailors' home in Liverpool in the 1970s. I've seen pictures of it, and it looked beautiful. This is before I was born. And they just destroyed it. They just knocked it down. And it's not like they built something fabulous in its place. The Adelphi Hotel in Liverpool has had undergone three regenerations in its time. It was knocked down. They built it again. They knocked it down. They built it again. But they always built something in its place that was up to what came before, or even surpassing it. But with the sailors' home, they knocked it down. It was built this beautiful Spanish missionary style building, and they knocked it down. And for all of my childhood, until the Paradise Project came along when I was probably about 28, the place where it was advertising hoardings on scaffolding. I mean, I want to say not even nice advertising hoarding. Advertising hoarding is never nice, but literally built out of scaffolding, a temporary structure with adverts on it, and that's how it sat for the best part of 30 years, more than 30 years. It sat like that. They just knocked it down. That's fine. Fuck it. Honestly, drives me up the wall. Drives me up the wall. Graham had what? Liverpool had an elevated railway. Yes, it did. The overhead. Probably before your day. It was very much before my day. They dismantled it in the 1950s because when all the other train lines were privatised, or most of the other train lines were nationalised, in the 1940s, the overhead railway was not. It was still owned by a private company. And in the 1950s, they needed to do some repair work on it. And the repair work was going to cost millions of pounds. And so they just went, we'll just dismantle it. Because it was coming at a time when they saw the downturn in shipbuilding and ship repairs and the docks being used so much. And they said, it's not necessary. I would like, as a tourist attraction, a section of the overhead to be put back into place. I think it'd be really, really cool if you could take the overhead railway to the new Everton Stadium at Bramley Moor Dock, the Hill Dickinson Stadium. I I think that'd be great if you could get on at the the Liver building and get the overhead train there. I think that'd be just really fabulous, but I don't think it's very realistic. Another fun fact about the overhead railway was that it was the only overhead railway in the world that ended in an underground station. So if you get down into South Liverpool, you've got the river, right? And then you have a cliff. Do you remember the show Bread, right? Remember they had a road that went down and there was like a cliff on the other side of the road. It was like there was a fence at the end of the road and it was like a cliff, and you had the river below them. That cliff is where in Dingle, that's it, where Bread was filmed. That is where the overhead railway, there was an extension to it that was built, and it just ploughed into the cliff. You can still see the arch there now. It's blocked up, obviously, but you can still see it. And if you go to a certain garage in Dingle, I don't know if you still can, but you could get down into the old Dingle underground railway station. That was the first stop on the overhead railway, and one of the Zootons videos was filmed down there. I'm sorry, I'm a complete nerd about civic architecture and stuff like this. It's one of my little things close to my heart. I can whitter on about it for hours, but it's got nothing to do with Ukraine. It's got nothing to do with Putin or with Trump. So I guess I should shut the fuck up and call it a show today. So I'm going to head off now in a few minutes' time. I'm now remembered, sorry, I've read that one. Liverpool had an elevated railway, yep. Known as the Dockers Umbrella, it was. Can see part of the overhead railway at Liverpool Museum. Yes, and I did pull her, she's wheelchair apparently. I did the search, and apparently there's a trans woman in America with the same name, so search got me nowhere. Liverpool has the oldest passenger station in the world, should be a big tourist attraction. Yeah. I mean, it's technically Broad Green, but that's right next to a horrible motorway. It's next to a horrible junction. It's a horrible station, and they knocked down the original building, and when they built the M62 and put some flat roof shite on it instead. I know it's not really Edge Hill because Edge Hill moved, but it's still called Edge Hill. So I'm going to say Edge Hill and make it, because that is a great site for setting up a railway museum. Because it's not just the adventure of the fact that it's the oldest still existing train station in the world, passenger station in the world, because the next station didn't used to be Lime Street. It was a few years later that Lime Street was built. It used to be Crown Street Station, which there's not much in the way of remains there anymore. Yeah, it's also where there's two tunnels that go underneath the city of Liverpool. I think back in the day, they were like the longest tunnels in the world or something. Like went under a city. There's one called the Wapping Tunnel, and that goes down to near where if you're ever at the Echo Arena, if you know where the Echo Arena is, if you turn around, so your back is to the Echo Arena, and you walk across the 17-lane fucking motorway away from the docks, and then you're into the Baltic Triangle. There is a garage again down there that if you look through the bars, you can see there's an archway, and that's where that tunnel comes out all the way from Edge Hill down to the docks there near the Albert Dock. And then the other tunnel, the Waterloo Victoria Tunnel, that comes out near Costco, and you can still see that if you go to Costco in just north of the city centre, and that could provide transport to people getting on the cruise ship terminal, where there used to be a station called Liverpool Riverside. And even to this day, even though Riverside closed down in like the early 70s, you can still find Liverpool Riverside mentioned on the Trainline app. I'm going to look this up now because I don't want to be made a fool of, and I have to put up the thing saying I was wrong. But I'm pretty sure that Liverpool Riverside is still a station. Not that it has any trains going to it, because literally the train station is not there, and the track going from Edge Hill is no longer there. In fact, you'd have real trouble putting a train line in because there's buildings in the way now, like Costco. But let's see, Durham to Liverpool. I wrote Liverpool there. Oh, Liverpool. Right, let's see what comes up. Liverpool. What was it called? Riverside. Does it still come up? Does it still come? Oh no, it doesn't. Oh, how appalling! It used to come up with Liverpool Riverside, and it doesn't anymore. God damn you! I was wrong. It used to come up. I think on some apps it still does, but just not on that one. I was wrong. And on that bombshell, I better go. I'm just gonna sit in the corner now and rock and think about what I've done. Telling you there was a station still on the list on the Trainline app that isn't still on the list. Never mind. Williamson tunnels are amazing, still being excavated, says Martin. Yeah, phenomenal. Joseph Williamson built all these tunnels in Edge Hill for no reason other than he was mad. Great stuff. Liverpool. I might take my umbrella with me today if I go for a walk. Blasted sun is going to be really, really hot. Lol, 4 lanes, Graham. No. Whopping. Are you kidding me? It's at least 8 lanes. 8 lanes, my friends. Like, seriously, it's getting across from the King's Dock. I'm going to look this up. I don't want to be wrong again. Wrong 2 times in a row. Liverpool map. There you go. Let's get the maps up. Come on, Google. Give me maps. Give me sweet little maps. Okay, so let's zoom in. I know you can't see what I'm doing, but I'm just zooming in. Whopping, and then I'll change it to the other thing here. Let's have a look. Whopping. Ooh. So I'm thinking of this junction here. Haha. Okay. Yeah. No. I'm it's at least 6 lanes, but actually, depending on what junction you go across, I know there's not a pedestrian crossing there because why would there? But there is a point. In fact, I think I can show this. Look, I can just let me just get the papers up. No, the papers. Where are the papers? Come on, Graham. I'm supposed to be wrapping up the show here. Let's see. Right, there you go. See? That's where you cross the road, right? How many lanes are there, right? Come on, let's count them. There's one there. 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 That's 6. That's 8 lanes. That is 8 lanes. That's not 2 lanes. It's a fucking motorway in between the Albert Dock and the other place. What's it called? The city centre. There you go. There's the arena there. So I come out the arena, go along this road, and I hit here, and there's 8 lanes of traffic. But if I zoom in down here, see this long building here. This was the old Wapping station, and so if you look here where my mouse is, you will actually see. I don't know if I can actually turn this around because it's 3D these days. It's 3D. You might actually be able to see. Yes, you can see it just there behind where it says Brick Lodge Brewery. You can see the entrance. Just see the entrance to the tunnel, and that tunnel goes all the way to go away brewing thing. That tunnel there goes. Oh no, actually that's not the tunnel, is it? No, there it is. See it? See that tunnel? See that bit there? That's a tunnel entrance. There you go. So that's the old tunnel entrance that went all the way to Edge Hill, and this could be a station. They could make a station here, and you could come from anywhere in the country and get off in this station. Get off in this station in more ways than one. And there you go. You got the cathedral in the background there. It's wonderful. It's a beautiful thing. It is a beautiful thing. Bring back that station. That's what I say. And there's the Baltic Triangle. It says it over here. Look, see? Baltic Triangle. Fun facts. Anyone who's not from Liverpool has just fallen asleep now. I'm very sorry for telling you about tunnels under Liverpool. I don't know how I got onto this subject. I need to go back to sleep. Right. If I feel up to it, I might actually try and do Geoscope tonight with Ollie. We're talking about, we can't see your mouse. Really? Couldn't see the mouse? Should have been able to see the mouse. It came up on this screen. Should have been able to see the mouse. Sorry you couldn't get to see the mouse. That sucks. I thought you were going to be at Tans this week. says Sarah. On Thursday. So Friday morning, we should be doing Morning Brew from Tans. Fingers crossed. So there you go. That was all set off by Martin saying that Liverpool has the oldest passenger station in the world. Yeah, but honestly, Broad Green Station doesn't even have a sign saying Broad Green Station. Well, it does, but it's a bit of an angle. I think I derailed Graham, says Kirsty. Don't worry about derailing me. It's all good. Everyone, have a really good day for the rest of the day. Please stay cool. I know you're cool anyway. Stay cool. Stay in the shade. Don't try and fight with the sun. The sun will kick your ass. Trust me on this one. I'm a ginge. And until next time, I'll say thank you so much for the lovely words, but also the super chats. Really, really appreciate that. That is just absolutely so incredibly kind of you all. And special shout out to Paula Thomas for that incredible, incredible mega chat, which, will keep this channel alive for at least a little while longer. So until next time, as I keep trying to say, give us a like on the way out. We always like a like. And hello, good evening, welcome, and